Hello, welcome back to my haunted library. It's Regina. I hope you're staying cool. It's another heat wave. I got out really early this morning to ride my bike just to get some exercise, and I was just felt like I was going to melt. But anyway, happy August. August is always hot, at least where I live, and where I'm sure a lot of you live too. It's just part of the summer. I need to stop complaining about it and just embrace it, because August is the perfect month to read trashy books, maybe on the beach, maybe in the country, in the mountains, or by the pool, or just in an air-conditioned library like I'm trying to get going here. I actually love August because it's my birthday month. I'm not a Leo, I'm a Virgo. Leo-Virgo cusp, so it's toward the end of the month. It always makes me think about the upcoming fall and kind of already planning my fall wardrobe and all of that. So, you know, got to stay upbeat. And I'm excited about Garbaugust, and I'm excited to be a co-host this year, along with tons of other booktubers. There's so many of us, and Criminali always does a great job putting this together. But before we get to my trashy books that I've pulled from my own library shelves, a couple announcements. One is that Trash Tales, the annual trashy anthology that Criminali puts together along with some other great people, is out today. And I'm proud to say that I have a featured story in the anthology. It is, well, it's not featured. I mean, it's among all the other ones. So I don't want to say mine's like special, although I'm pretty proud of it. It is called Unnatural Porn Killers. That's P with a porn with a P. And you can probably tell from the title, it's pretty trashy. So I hope you will check that out. It all goes to charity, and there are a whole bunch of great stories in it. And I can't wait to get my copy. I like to get the print copy so I can read all of them. So that's out. And also a book that I don't think is trashy at all. In fact, it's really great. Well, I mean, trash is great too, but my point is I wouldn't consider this trash. I would just consider it great horror fiction. And that is Toadhead by my friend Andrew Lyle of Grumpy Andrew's Horror House, one of my favorite BookTube channels. Well, he's more like a horror channel, not just BookTube. He does a lot of films as well. He's one of the first channels that I discovered on in the horror tube world here on BookTube, and it's great. He did a really good job on this. It's Always Hungry. This is a really creepy book. Now, I say it is because even though it just came out, I read an art copy of this a few months ago. I mentioned it on my channel already, but now that I have the print, I'm sure it's been a little polished and edited, although Andrew, his prose is always so good. I'm always amazed at his writing, and I'm glad that he's writing and putting stuff out. So this is a novella about a really creepy killer, kind of a folk horror as well. And yes, there is a real toad in it, and it's really creepy, and I can't wait to read this again. So I will be squeezing this in this month with all my other trashy reads, but I still need to have, I'm still reading a book. I'm about halfway through, and that is Anne Rice's The Mummy. You could probably consider this a trashy book. No, I love Anne Rice. I like this author picture of her. It makes me want to cut bangs again. So anyway, I'm halfway through this book, and I'm still waiting for something to happen. No, I'm kidding. It's great. You know, I'm enjoying it. I sink into these Anne Rice books. It does have a plot. It's very slow moving, and I'm enjoying it. So when I finish it, I will report back. But I'm really glad I started reading this. I can't believe I've never read it before, because I've read, I feel like I've read a lot of Anne Rice. I won't say most of Anne Rice, but I was in an Egyptian mood because I had just finished Sphinx by Robin Cook. Robin Cook mostly wrote, and maybe still does, medical thrillers. Coma was probably his most famous. I think Robin is a male. I believe Sphinx came out after Coma. I might be wrong. 1979, so maybe around the same time. I actually have a copy of Coma. I read that when it came out. Of course, I love the movie with Michael Douglas and Geneviève Bujold. Sphinx is a lot of fun, and there's a movie based on the book with Frank Langella, and he plays an Egyptian, which probably wouldn't get cast today as an Egyptian, but he wears a lot of guy liner, and his wardrobe is right out of the 1980 International Male Catalog. He's wearing like those high-waisted pants and the open silk shirt, or like mesh. And in one scene he's actually wearing a jalaba. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's fabulous. And Leslie Ann Down plays this young Egyptologist, very beautiful, and she goes to Egypt, all kinds of men in love with her, but who could blame them because she's stunning, despite she has like a carrot-colored Angie Bowie hairstyle in this movie. I mean, she still looks gorgeous, so that is something to behold, and I love her wardrobe too. It's not a great movie, and it's not a great book, but there was something about it. I love ancient Egypt, and there was something I really enjoyed. The movie, which you can watch for free on Internet Archives, is an incredible travelogue of ancient Egypt. So even if you watch it just for the visuals, they're actually on location. There's no CGI, and it's stunning. So in my library, I have tons of genre fiction, true crime, mystery, that kind of stuff. But I wouldn't call all of it trash, even though it's in that kind of commercial genre fiction world. I think what makes a trashy book is a dirty book. That's how I would describe it. Now, I know I come from a generation when we talked about sexual things, we called it dirty. I also was raised Catholic. So that might explain it. A dirty book was like, you would be like under the covers with the flashlight with a sense of excitement and shame because you didn't want your parent to walk in on you reading one of these books. But in my household, all those books came from my dad under the bed. That's what to me a trashy book is. So I guess a book that is really kind of over the top with the sexuality, and they're usually written by women. So what does that tell you? But anyway, let's take a look at the trashy books that I've pulled from my library shelves, and maybe they'll give you an idea of what to read for your Garbaugust TBR, or maybe I will pull some out that I will decide to read. So let's take a look. Anything by Harold Robbins, you are safe in considering it trash. This one is called The Inheritors. And let's just look at that orgasmic cover. Who are the Inheritors? They are a new breed of conquerors, jet-soaring buccaneers who have carved the youngest and wealthiest empire in the world today, the communications industry of America. All right, then it goes on, but like that's what I consider trash, like that description. It's like, it's a soap opera. This one came out in 1969. No pun intended. I would also consider like a good bodice ripper a trashy book. And this one I found in the thrift store by Heather Graham, who I know has written many books. She continues to write a lot of books. I see her all the time in my library, my public library, that is. This is called Sweet Savage Eden. It just looks so great. Defiant Bride. From the first time Jasmine's eyes met those of Lord Jamie, they're always like named Jamie, Cameron, and a smoky British inn, theirs was the wrong kind of attraction. Not gentle, slow, and easy, but hot, hard, and all-consuming. Again, I can't resist. That's going to go in the pile. This was a trashy movie, so I'm assuming that this book, on which the movie's based, is equally trashy. Presumed Innocent. It's actually a really good movie. Isn't that the one with Harrison Ford, right? I hope I'm thinking of the same one. There was a whole bunch of... There was the one with Demi Moore, where she was the sexual harasser with Michael Douglas. And boy, I laughed my way through that movie. It was so... To think of Michael Douglas as being like, why can't she just leave me alone? And Demi Moore is just like, I'm gonna eat him alive. I mean, it's really kind of a fun, silly movie, kind of along the lines of, maybe I'll watch some trashy movies. Madonna's Body of Evidence is one of my favorites. But anyway, Presumed Innocent, that's definitely a possibility. I've been saving this one for Garbaugust, so I think I definitely have to read it, and it's short. This is Sliver by Ira Levin. It's about this high-rise, and I remember seeing the movie with Sharon Stone and one of the Baldwin boys, I forget which one, a whole bunch of them, and he's spying on her, and it gets really dirty. I think I might have to keep that one. This one was one of my favorite trashy books from back in the day, Colleen McCullough, The Thornbirds. Epic family saga, I think it's either Australia or New Zealand, I think it's Australia, about this beautiful young woman and her love affair with a priest. This is really trashy and really fun. It's just a little long. I don't know if I'll get to it. All right, this is my quintessential trashy book of all time. Most people know Jacqueline Suzanne from Valley of the Dolls, which is a great book and a great trashy book, but this one is even trashier. Like it's so dirty. It's so dirty. There's one page, I was trying to find it, where there's nothing but the F word, where the heroine is in partaking in a orgy in New York. This is like in the late 60s. She comes to New York as an innocent model, and her dad is a hot movie producer, and she's in love with her dad. Okay, that's also a big part of the story, but she has a string of affairs and none satisfied because she's a daddy's girl, but she does participate in an orgy in like a New York loft, and it's totally insane. There's also a convent gangbang, like rape scene. And I don't mean to be like joking about it, because this historically happened, where Russian soldiers were, on a rape brigade at the end of World War II. So it actually happened. So it's no laughing matter, but it's so over the top. I can't even begin to describe it. But yeah, once is not enough. This was, I think, the book that I learned a lot as a young, probably 13-year-old, coming into my sexual awareness from this book. Now, I'm sure it was not really the best education, but it is what it is. And I actually met my best friend that I've known for decades over this book when I think it was, I don't know if he quoted it. We were sitting at our dorm room cafeteria, and he either quoted it or I quoted it, but we both were like, "Oh my God, you read that!" And we have the same ribald sense of humor. I've never read a zebra Regency romance. I haven't read too many Regency romances. I read a few. And this one's called Lord Radcliffe's Season by Joanne Ferguson. Oh, it looks like a lot of fun. This one I pulled from my fantasy shelf. It's called, I was going to say Ishtar, but it's Iskir by M. Coleman Easton. It looks like some kind of like Middle Eastern fantasy romance. I don't know. This looks like something that might be fun to read in August because it's hot. Like, I really enjoyed reading these about the ancient Egyptians, because I'm like, if you think I'm hot, imagine how they feel in Egypt. Now, the weather may have been different 3,000 years ago, pretty unbearably hot, especially during the hot seasons, but does not look like fun. Oh, and I pulled this off the shelf because I consider this one of my personally sleaziest books I've written. I've written a few that are explicit, but this one I think kind of goes there, and that is Fashion Victims. This takes place in New York Fashion Week, and I wrote this a few years ago, and I still love it. I really do. It's one of my favorite books that not a lot of people have read, because it's more like a fashion thriller than horror. I would say it's like a giallo. I should have probably talked about it last month for Giallo July, but anyway, there it is. I will submit my book as a trashy read if you're interested. So all of my book links are listed below, and I'm currently finishing up my fantasy book. It's coming out in the fall. I'm excited. I'm getting back into it. I'll talk about that later. But anyway, so I was looking through my horror books to see like what are some of the trashiest horror books I have, and I found this one. I'm a little scared to read it. This is called Right to Life, a Novella and Two Stories by Jack Ketchum. I mean, look at that cover. I can just imagine what's in this book. Jack Ketchum is an extreme horror writer known for his extreme horror books. And this is a novella, so maybe I'll start with this for anything goes. But it doesn't all have to be fiction, because I pulled this off my shelf. Oh, this is trashy. So trashy. Hollywood Babylon 2. I have Hollywood Babylon 1 and 2. Look at poor Elizabeth Taylor. It's terrible. If you want to know all the sleazy stories about old Hollywood, this is the book for you, by Kenneth Anger, who was a notorious person in his own right, filmmaker, Satanist. That's the story. Anyway, let's just pull any I mean, here we have James Dean. There's all kinds of stories about him. Anything you ever wanted to know about Hollywood sleaze, you'll find it in this book. You know, when I was a undergraduate, I studied literature and theater, and I remember at the end of the semester, you know, I would be reading all this, like, you know, I'm reading Canterbury Tales and Shakespeare and romantic poetry, and I love all that stuff. But by the end of the semester, I remember once the exams were over, I would go to the drugstore and I would just buy the trashiest People magazine, National Enquirer. I would just get a load of the trashiest reading material I could get, and I would cleanse the palate from all of that good literature, and it was wonderful. Now I just scroll Twitter. But anyway, I would definitely say that anything written by V.C. Andrews, especially like her own, like the earlier stuff, would be considered trash, but good trash. I think I'm going to include some of these shorter works because now that I'm looking at them, it's just, I can read more and it's more manageable. But anyway, this is a new series that I haven't started yet. This is the Shooting Stars series, and this first book is called Cinnamon. Here's another one that is definitely a sleazy, sexy, dirty book and a really disturbing movie. And I was way too young to see this movie when it came out. I remember, I think my older sister corrupted me with this. But anyway, this is called Looking for Mr. Goodbar by Judith Rosner. Again, look at the title. I mean, look at the cover. It's about a young woman in New York. I mentioned this book before when I found it in a thrift store. In like the singles bar community. Can we use that word? And it's not a good scene, and it's horrible. You know, if you were a young girl like I was with dreams of living in New York, and you read this book or saw this movie, you would never want to leave home. It was so depressing. That's good trash, man. All right, so some people would consider Anne Rice trashy, like I said, especially like the Mayfair Witches. I mean, come on. All that stuff with Lasher. It's definitely sleazy and great. And this is, you know, I love Anne Rice for that. You know, the sleazier she is, the better. All of her fairy tale stories, you know, her Sleeping Beauty series and all of that. This one, I've never read. This is her Anne Rampling pen name. I know it was a movie, and I know Rosie O'Donnell was in it, and Rosie O'Donnell's in, like, bondage wear. If any of you know what I'm talking about. I've never seen the movie, never read the book. But it's Exit to Eden, which is about, like, a sex club or something. Anyway, this could be fun. This one, to me, looked very trashy, and I might read this. I might just pick out the ones that look the most fun for this month and that are kind of short, so I read as many as possible, I guess I want to say. Just completely indulge myself in trashy books. This is Love Play, a novel by Rosemary Rogers. I mean, just look at that title. To me, this and the cover, I mean, this is like the definitive trashy book. And, of course, the author photo looks like that. I was looking for my Jackie Collins books. I thought I had some. Maybe I unhauled them. I don't know. I feel like they're here someplace. But Jackie Collins is equally on that level. Okay, down to the last few. My friend Patrick got me this book, and I thought this would be fun to include in the trash reads just because of the subject matter. And this is Dolls, 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 Stephen Rebello, all about the making of the Valley of the Dolls, which you know is going to be fun. I wanted to include some nonfiction in Garbaugust, so this might be a good choice for that. And then this book, this was like a dirty book when I was a kid. It was actually a really good book, and it is a really good movie. And that's called Summer of 42 by Herman, is it Rocher? It's all about adolescent boys and their sexual adventures down the shore. It's really good, and it's really funny and sweet, and it's a great book. And then I was at the little library in my town, and I found this James Patterson book, and I thought, well, since James Patterson's on the group read, maybe I'll just read just that one or something else. But anyway, this is called The 18th Abduction. I don't know if this is probably part of a series, and this is number 18. I really don't know. I've only read like one or two James Patterson books in my life, but I might look into it. Although these other older books, like from the 70s, look really tempting. So as the month goes on, hang out, come and visit here at the Haunted Library just to see what sleazy books I'm reading. And let me know in the comments below if you are participating in Garbaugust. Let me know what you're reading. I would love to hear your thoughts. So that's all I have for today. Thanks for stopping by my haunted library, and I'll see you soon. Bye.